Hello and welcome to my review of Halloween Horror Nights 2023, aka HHN32. I am Jasmine, aka Jasmine Dreams, aka me, and I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about my experience at Halloween Horror Nights this year, because I've been hearing some other creators saying they've had similar experiences to mine. So I wanted to add my voice to the chorus of people who are calling out for certain aspects of this event to please improve, because we love this event and we want to really get to experience it in full. So I will say that I'm a theme park regular in Orlando. I'm always at Universal, I'm always at Disney. So I wasn't honestly too salty that I missed out on a lot of the mazes this year. Sorry, houses. I have a really bad habit of calling them mazes instead of houses. I don't know why. I think my brain just doesn't associate like spooky, scary zones with house. It's like home, like, you know? Anyways, I only got to do a few of the houses this year because, for one, even though I went twice, I'm a photographer and I'm always walking around with my camera, and I want to take time to like see and experience and photograph and catch some of the Easter eggs and stuff in the scare zones and around the park in general. So between doing that and having to walk ridiculously far to get to a bunch of these houses, it just became impossible to do everything. And, you know, find time to stop to eat, find time to see the show, because I'm a showgirl, not literally, but I love shows. I used to be a dancer myself, so maybe I am a showgirl. I don't know. But I absolutely had to see Nightmare Fuel this year, and I'm glad I did. Because after the experience I had in the houses, Nightmare Fuel was actually the highlight of the event for me. So I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm gonna jump straight into my highlights and my criticism / feedback and try to keep it as short as possible. So my highlights of the event this year were, one, like I said, Nightmare Fuel. It was an incredible show. If you still haven't gone to the event yet this year and you're going, do not miss it. It is worth it. You will have to get there early. I'm gonna get to why in the criticism part, but you make sure you get there like at least half an hour, 45 minutes early, to actually make sure you get into the show and get a good spot. My number 2 highlight was the Death Eaters in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. They were so interactive. They're out and about consistently. They will even find you and like spook you if you're just randomly shopping in one of the shops. Like, that was one of the coolest experiences for me, was the Death Eaters. So number 3 was Dr. Oddfellow. He was an incredible icon. I love the fact that there was Easter eggs and like little tidbits of his story in every single scare zone. I heard that there were also bits like that, little sort of Easter eggs for him in every I almost said maze again, in every house, but I didn't get into every house, and the ones that I did get into, we'll get to that in the feedback section. So in the scare zones, at least, I got to spend some time really poking around and seeing those interactive moments and seeing some Easter eggs and seeing some really cool things. So I appreciated that. And so yeah, Dr. Oddfellow, and honestly all the scare actors, the actors who played Oddfellow, the actors who played other roles, the performers, the cast, so to speak, were definitely a highlight for me in general. But Oddfellow as an icon for sure. And then 4, maybe I'm just doing a top 3. Because my 4th one was going to be the rest of the scare actors and stuff, but I mentioned them in number 3. So okay, let's separate it. So Dr. Oddfellow's number 3. All of the actors, scare actors, performers, and whatnot, number 4. Those are my highlights. It was a fantastic event because of those things. I personally really enjoyed it because of those elements. So I wasn't too salty to miss a bunch of the houses because I really enjoyed those other elements. But if you're a scare junkie and you want to go to Halloween Horror Nights and experience all of the houses, I don't think it was possible this year unless you had like a skip the line for all the houses. If you had like the Express Pass or whatever they call it, or a RIP tour. However, just looking at the wide variety of people going to Horror Nights, I don't think everybody can afford that. And if everybody could afford that, it would still lead back to the same problem, which was the crowds were too heavy and the lines were too long. I have a clip here somewhere that I'll put in of My husband and I, so the second night I went, my husband and I did early access. We went in with our annual passes and we were there early, and we got in line as early as we could for Last of Us because he's a huge fan and he wanted to see that house more than any of the others. So we prioritized that one first. And let me tell you, the line that you're looking at here was like, this was the earliest, I think it was like 4 o'clock or something that we got in line. And we still waited like 30 or 45 minutes or so in this line that you're looking at. Part of it is like down kind of, you can't even really see part of the line under that big awning cover. It's not quite a tent thing. The line continued. It continued and continued and continued. And you can also see how much space there was, that the line filled up as soon as the park opened to the general public. So basically there's no hope, especially if you don't have early entry, there's no hope of a short line at Horror Nights this year. The first visit that I went was in September, and it was insane that night too, same story. This visit that you're seeing was early October, I think it was like October 8th or 9th. It was early. It was a weekday, both visits, and it was the same story, both visits. And I mentioned earlier that I didn't have necessarily the full experience that I expected to in the houses that we did go in, because the ushers, and this is not their fault, I'm sure this is what they're directed to do, they're like pushing you into them houses. They're like, go in, don't leave space, make sure you stay close to the party in front of you. And so I was genuinely not scared in any of the houses that we went into, because I was seeing everything happen to the like 2, 3, 4 people in front of me, because they had us going in so close. There was no pacing, there was no space in between people. The last time I went to this event was 2019, and I had a way better experience. I had my pants scared off several times in the houses. I was like, we got through almost all of them that year. And I expected the same this year, and I'm a theme park junkie, okay? I did my homework. I booked weeknights that were supposed to be quieter nights earlier in the season, and it was mayhem both times. So that's my feedback, really, is I think next year, the next couple years until Epic Universe opens, which I'll get to that in a second, I think they need to expand this event across both parks. I think they need to find a way to connect the guests through backstage, because it's a much shorter walk backstage to get to from Universal Studios to Islands of Adventure. It is possible. I know they can do it. On top of that, they have hosted Horror Nights at Islands of Adventure before. So they definitely have the ability to have some, if not a bunch, of the houses over there, scare zones and whatnot. And I think it's not great that the day guests would be kicked out of both parks early, but until Epic Universe opens, I think that's what they have to do, because the crowd levels this year made it almost impossible to really get the most out of the scare zones because they were so crowded. As a photographer, I'm like trying to take pictures, and get some videos and whatnot, and it was just impossible. As soon as the gates opened to regular guests who weren't there for early entry, there's just people walking past you. You're like shoulder to shoulder with people at some points in time. And it was just kind of hard to get like crowd-free moments anywhere. And obviously it's never going to be crowd-free, but like to have it not feel straight up claustrophobic, like it was crowded. And I'm sure that's great for Universal. They love the revenue. But for the guest experience, it's not awesome. They definitely have to spread things out a little bit more so that even if it is so busy that you're not going to get into every house, you won't feel disappointed, because the ones that you do get into, you're going to have a full awesome experience. You're going to see every scene that you're supposed to see. You're going to get spooked every time you're supposed to get spooked. Like I felt like it was lackluster, but it was nothing to do with the set design. It was nothing to do with the scare actors. That was all incredible. That was all top notch. And I know this because a couple days later, we did the Behind the Screams Unmasking the Horror Tour. So I did get to see all the things and told about all the things that I was supposed to see and experience in the houses when I was there a couple nights before for the actual nighttime event. And it was frustrating to be like, oh yeah, and then this girl with the pan will come out and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, well, I didn't really get to experience that because I saw 4 people in front of me get to experience that, and they don't reset in time. And, you know, you're so close that you're seeing other people have the experiences and the scares. And, you know, even they might not actually be scared by that because they saw somebody in front of them have it happen. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's my main piece of feedback is like, if you're trying to do every house and it's not in your budget to do a skip the line or a VIP RIP tour, you're going to spend your entire night from the moment you enter those gates to the moment you leave waiting in hours long, like 2 to 3 hour long lines for house experiences that are going to feel slightly disappointing, in my opinion. Maybe you're different. Maybe you get lucky. I don't know. And you're probably going to be grouchy by the end of the night because you're not going to have time to stop and eat. You're not really going to have time to experience any of the lore and the backstory that's woven into the scare zones and the mazes. I keep calling them mazes, the houses. And you're not going to have time to stop and interact with like the Death Eaters and with Dr. Oddfellow himself and any other scare actors that are doing cool interactions. So I think they definitely need to improve on that. And the other thing is they've done some improvement on the flooding situation because it's Florida. It's not a matter of if it's going to rain. It's a matter of when it's going to rain for like most of the year here. And it poured on us the second night that I went. And they did a lot of work to put some of the lines on risers. So you're actually like standing on a stage when you're in line for a bunch of these mazes. But they can't do that for all of them, or they didn't do that for all of them. I don't know if they can. And let me tell you, when it poured rain, there was points where we were walking through downright flooded areas. So there definitely is some logistics that I think will be solved when Epic Universe opens, because I do think it would be silly of them to open a gigantic park like Epic Universe and not plan this event into that park, because there's so much opportunity to fix all of these problems by building the solutions into this new park. So I think and I hope that they are doing that. But until then, something's got to be fixed next year. So I think they will have to do it across both parks. I think it will have to be studios and islands, or they're going to have to reduce the capacity, which I can tell you right now, no executive is going to approve of because they probably made bank this year. So yeah, the expansion for next year, that's what I'm hoping for, and Epic Universe being the host park for it with all of those, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. With all the problems being sort of solved into the planning of the park. That's what I'm hoping for. So those were my highlights and my feedback for this year's Halloween Horror Nights. If you got to go, what was your experience like? Did you happen to go on a day where you got some short lines? Did you actually get that true scary experience in any of the houses? Please share with me down below, and if you have any other feedback that I didn't mention, would love to hear it. And this is by no means hate to Universal. Like I said, the designers, the scare actors, everybody did an amazing job. It was just so many bodies in the park that it affected everything. The line for food, trying to actually see stuff in the scare zones, you know, like everything. It was kind of crazy, like to the point of claustrophobia, and I'm not even claustrophobic at some points. So yeah, there's area for improvement, but I have also seen improvement in other areas from past years that I've come. So yeah, share your thoughts below. Hope you enjoyed the footage that I captured while I was there that I've shared in this video. And my next video, which will come out tomorrow because tomorrow's Halloween and I want to get all these videos, these spooky videos out just in time for Halloween. My next video is going to be from the Unmasking the Horror Tour, Behind the Screams. So make sure that you hit subscribe, like this video, and if you really don't want to miss that one, then turn on notifications, because I captured the whole thing through my favorite vintage camera lens, so all of the footage is really vibey and kind of still gives it that creepy, eerie feel, even though all the lights were on. So if you don't know, the Behind the Screams Unmasking the Horror Tour is the daytime VIP tour, where you get to go in 6 of the mazes with the lights fully on and someone telling you all of the sort of what went into making them. I keep saying mazes, don't I? Oh my gosh, like I said, it's bound to happen. It's like a bad habit for me. But all of the houses, so we got to go into 6 of the houses We got to see them with the lights on, and we had a tour guide who was so like just filled to the brim with information on what went into making them, all of the little Easter eggs and things that you got to see in each one, and I'm gonna share that with you guys. I know you may have seen it from other creators because I'm late to the game, like always. I have a life, I run a business, so I edit these videos as fast as I can, you guys. But I can guarantee my perspective is one that you haven't seen yet, because I filmed our tour through a vintage camera lens, my favorite one actually from the 1970s. So everything has this really cool, vibey sort of feel to it. So even though everything was filmed with the lights on, it still feels kind of creepy and like I said, vibey, eerie, whatever word you want to use. So if you'd be interested in seeing that, I hope you are. Hit subscribe, like this video, and if you really don't want to miss it, hit the notifications bell, and I will see you tomorrow. Or in the next video if you're watching this in the future. See you then! Keep dreaming. Bye, guys.